Well, this is fun. Republican investigators in Congress have a new and slightly troubling question for the FBI. Now, why didn't the Bureau tell them that the guy who triggered the Russia investigation actually had a multi-million-dollar connection to the Clinton Foundation? Reporter Alison Spann has been investigating Australian diplomat Alexander Downer. She now joins us to discuss her article just published in The Hill tonight. Alison, great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so now this is like a cast of characters. This is like a mystery novel. But tell us about Alexander Downer and his connection to all of this Papadopoulos character and why it's important.
So if you remember, in the summer of 2016, Alexander Downer was the one who came out with his evidence about George Papadopoulos. He said he had a drink with him in a London bar, and Papadopoulos revealed to him that he knew that Russia had some dirt on Hillary or might have some damaging emails to her. So he's the one that actually gave that information to his government. The Australian government gave it to the U.S. government, and that launched the whole Russia probe into Trump-Russia collusion.
Yeah.
Well, now we find out that Alexander Downer has a tie to the Clintons.
Now, what a tie. Now, he's at a bar in London.
Mm-hmm.
He runs into Papadopoulos. The circumstances around how he ran into him is interesting. You addressed that slightly in your piece.
Right.
But now, fast forward 2 months after he sees him in that bar, Australia brings us to the FBI.
Right.
It took 2 months. That's kind of interesting.
It took 2 months.
But then you find out that Downer's connection to the Clinton Foundation is?
He secured them a grant for $25 million from the Australian government, funded by taxpayer dollars, to go towards AIDS prevention and treatment in Asia.
Oh, that's great. AIDS prevention. I mean, what could be wrong with that? So $25 million foreign money from Australia goes to the Clinton Foundation. Now, is there any question about how that money was used or whether it was fraudulently obtained?
So there was an audit that was conducted 3 years later, and it just wanted to basically go through and see what that project had achieved. Now, they did achieve some great things as far as getting those children the antiretroviral drugs that they needed and might otherwise not have been given a chance to get. But there were some questions about the money in that case and whether it was handled properly. And in fact, the report goes on to say that it was so mishandled that it was actually detrimental to the project. And they were given a score of 2 out of 6 for handling the money. And
2 out of 6?
Yeah,
that's
2 out of
great.
6. Now, the effectiveness.
That's typical Clintons, 2 out of 6. That's actually a high mark for them in handling finances or ethics. I just want to read this. This is from the Clinton Foundation audit. Some management weaknesses were noted with human resource management, the absence of readily available and useful budget information showing exactly how funds were spent, and project monitoring. So it's not a resounding plus, but the more important thing is, why wasn't this revealed? That's a big grant. That's a connection to the opposition candidate, to Donald Trump. He happens to be in this bar. He happens to meet this Papadopoulos guy. He happens to funnel the information. And he's not a minor figure. He's a well-known liberal politician in Australia who's buddies with the Clintons.
And I think that's what a lot of members of our Congress are asking now. We talked to Jim Jordan for our story, and he was shocked when he heard this information.
So you brought it to Jordan?
We brought it to these congressional committees who
they didn't even know.
No, they didn't know. So we actually
work.
brought this information to these congressional committees who are investigating this case. They had no idea. The FBI did not disclose this information to them. So they're shocked, and
That's unbelievable.
they want this to be investigated. And in fact, Jordan said that he wants a second special counsel because, as he says, that the FBI cannot investigate themselves.
This is one more example. First, you had the dossier being funded by Hillary Clinton and the DNC. That wasn't revealed to the FISA judge.
Right.
And now you have this.
Well, and there's actually 4 pieces of information they didn't reveal. The dossier was funded by the DNC and Clinton. Sidney Blumenthal, who is a close Clinton supporter, was funneling the information to Christopher Steele through the State Department. And then you had the Yahoo article that was quoted in the FISA application was written by Michael Isikoff, who got his information from Christopher Steele. And then now we have this connection between Alexander Downer and the Clintons.
Now, say that backwards really fast.
I know the Russian investigation is very complicated, but yes, we have 4 instances now. All 4 pieces of information came from people who at least knew the Clintons. Just
for fun, this guy Sam Nunberg, we're totally out of time, but Sam Nunberg he worked for the, he worked for the Trump campaign for 5 seconds. Anyway, he's refusing to speak to Mueller. He was on CNN earlier tonight, and I'm sorry, this is too funny not to play to you. Let's watch.
So, Sam, I have to ask you one other thing.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's an awkward question to ask, but, you know, I've interviewed you before. You're sitting very close to me.
Yes.
We talked earlier about what people in the White House were saying about you.
Yeah.
Talking about whether you were drinking or on drugs or whatever they had happened today. Talking to you,
Yeah.
I have smelled alcohol on your breath.
Well, I have not had a drink.
You haven't had a drink, so that's
No.
not.
No.
So I just, because it is the talk out there, again, I know it's awkward, let me just give you the questions. You can categorically answer that. No, you haven't had a drink today?
My answer is no.
Thoughts?
It was painful to watch. I don't know how I would react in a situation like that.
But he's not testifying before. I don't know him at all. I mean, he was hired, fired. I mean, but he's not testifying. He's not talking to Mueller. I mean,
Sounds like he could possibly be facing some jail time if he refuses to show up
Yeah.
in court and doesn't provide those documents. So, just another piece of the puzzle for this.
maybe he just
Russian
has really
investigation.
bad halitosis or something, or he chews gin and tonic gum or something. I'm like, who could have been anything. Allison, I hate to drag you in on that mess, but I'm
not
sorry.
drunk.
That was what. Allison spanned the hill. I'm not drunk. That is the quote of the day. I'm just kidding. Great reporting, you and Solomon.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, chaos, turmoil, madness. Those are the words thrown around by critics describing the Trump White House. Someone who once had a front row seat to all of it says ignore the talk. The president's process may be different, but it's getting great results. Here's former White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus.
You can't look at the distractions. I think what the staff has to do is focus in on the results. And so I think what the president does, and he writes about it even in his own books, is he puts rivals around him intellectually. You have people like Wilbur Ross, who's going to be on your show, and Gary Cohn. And he puts those two guys in front of him and says, okay, fight out tariffs in front of me. And they fight it out. The media covers the fight, but ultimately the decision is made. So the drama is there, but that is how the president makes decisions.
Chris Direwalt, author of the Halftime Report and Fox News politics editor, joins us to break it down. What do you make of this idea that the president likes to set up rivals, to duke it out? It helps him come to his decision, and he doesn't care about the outside view that it's chaotic.
Well, I think he thrives in chaos. I think he is a creature of chaos. And I think that for the period of time, if you think back to, Counselor, the period from essentially August or September, until wherever this went off the skids the last time, in this current iteration of White House chaos, is we had this Kelly period where there's going to be a clampdown, there's going to be process, there's going to be rules. They got the tax package tax package through, and it was like, hey, maybe this is okay. That's not how Donald Trump operates. That is not how he rolls. He likes it crazy. He likes the popcorn popping, and I don't think any chief of staff or anybody's ever going to make that change. John Kelly may have commanded lots of Marines, but I don't think he ever commanded Donald Trump.
I don't think anyone commands Donald Trump. He rolls and he does his own thing. All right, I want to run through a couple of midterm things because I love those. You love them. I want to talk to you about this. Okay, Thad Cochran, the senator from Mississippi who has been very ill, a Republican, said today, I regret my health has become an ongoing challenge. He's saying he's going to soon bow out, probably the beginning of April.
Right.
So there's already a seat being contested there. Are we going to end up with 2 Senate races in Mississippi this fall?
We're going to get we're probably going to get our 35th Senate race of this year, and there's going to be a doubleheader in Mississippi. Now, the question here is, there's a candidate, Chris McDaniel, who tried to knock him off before, that now says he's challenging Roger Wicker, who is the incumbent senator.
Right.
So does he then peel off and say, psych, what I actually meant was Roger Wicker is not a swamp creature and fine, and I want to serve with him in the United States Senate. I'm going to go over here for this open seat. So there's going to be quite a lot of jockeying going on down there.
That could be super interesting. I feel a road trip coming on.
I feel a road trip.
I
see it. I see it.
Meanwhile, tomorrow it's Texas. This is really the first voting now. As we move to the midterms, what happens tomorrow there?
So Texas, Democrats are pointing to the enormous turnout that they had in early voting. Put it to you this way. The Republicans were pleased because they got a big jump in early voting. They went up 50,000 votes and said, we're stronger than ever. And the Democrats answered with an increase of more than 200,000 votes.
Whoa.
So the Democrats are fired up. They're engaged. There are House seats in Texas that the Democrats would like to have. But the cherry on top, Ted Cruz is in a safe seat in the halftime. Today we moved the ranking, though. We moved him from likely Republican to leans Republican just because we need to see how much energy really is there. I don't think Cruz is in any kind of big trouble right now, but we're watching the race more closely because this amount of Democratic intensity in Texas is sort of unprecedented.
I mean, so many of these races, it's all about who shows up.
Oh, and in midterms, remember, in midterms, it's not about what the people want, it's what the voters say. Right. And who shows up at the polls is what determines the shape of that electorate is going to answer the question of who wins and loses. And right now, Democrats are storming the polls and the Republicans are lagging back a little.